Sophie, thank you. Good evening. It's Monday the 13th of March and it's a busy edition of Look North. We start with an exclusive investigation into students taking their own lives. Their families say universities should have a legal duty of care.
It's about making sure people are safe and they go to university and they come home. They come home.
Next, junior doctors walk out on strike. What do they want and how will it affect you? Plus, making happy homes for hedgehogs. School children from York tell us how it's done.
And the cold air returns from the north overnight, perhaps bringing a fresh few centimetres of snow for the hills and icy stretches into tomorrow. I'll be back later in the programme with all the details.
Good evening. Young people heading off to university are promised a life-changing experience, making new friends, learning new skills and enjoying life. But in reality, such a change isn't always that easy. We have the story of two people who took their own lives, the impact it has had on their families and their campaign for universities to have a legal duty of care towards their students. Corinne Wheatley has our top story tonight.
Oscar loved people. I think he loved people more than himself. He was the middle of our children. He was the glue that kind of cemented them all together.
Oscar Carrick was a student at Sheffield Hallam University. His mental health deteriorated while living in halls of residence during lockdown. He killed himself in June 2021.
A policeman arrived at our house and he knocked on the door and told us that Oscar had died.
Unbeknown to his parents, Oscar had attempted to take his own life a few months earlier in April. He later gave university support services permission to contact his family and his GP. But the university did not deem this to be retrospective, so didn't inform his parents about the suicide attempt. It was February the following year before they found out.
I had an awful moment where I just sat there. We sat in shock as a family, and I just said, He didn't want to die. What if he thought we knew and we didn't care? Because 3 weeks later, after that consent was given, he died. I felt like he was let down and we were let down as a family.
Sheffield Hallam University says it takes supporting students' mental health and well-being extremely seriously, and it significantly increased resources to provide access to a wide range of support services. But Oscar's family want more to be done. They're backing a campaign for universities to have a statutory duty of care towards their students. It's something that Leeds Conservatoire student Duncan is also fighting hard for. In 2018, his sister Natasha took her own life in Bristol after months of anxiety about oral assessments for her course.
Many of the times she went to the exams and then she ran out of the room because it was too much. And Bristol saw all this and then just sat on it. My sister was trying to engage the wellbeing services and to some degree they were effective, but the problem is that they were there to fix the damage, but the damage is being caused by the university.
In court last year, Bristol University was found to have discriminated against Natasha. The university told us it has made huge strides forward in supporting students with their mental health.
What is it that you want universities to do?
We want universities to be accountable. There's all these places that already have a statutory duty of care, and university seems to be the only place that doesn't.
Duncan hopes a petition will raise 100,000 signatures by the 19th of March. The national body Universities UK says every young life lost is one too many, but these deaths are rare. The most recent ONS data shows that the rate of student deaths across England and Wales is half that in people of the same age. It is for government to decide the legal framework within which universities operate, but it's essential that any additional duty does not result in unintended consequences for students. The Department for Education says universities already have a general duty of care not to cause harm to their students. Campaigners say more clarity and consistency is needed.
Natasha's dead. She's not coming back. This isn't about my sister. It's not about our grief, or it's not about getting justice for the wrongs doing. It's about the next student and the student after that and all the problems that they're going to face and how we can stop that before it even becomes an issue for them.
I'm Oscar's voice in this, but it's about making sure people are safe and they go to university and they come home.
Corinne Wheatley, BBC Look North.
And if you or someone you know has been affected by the issues raised in that report, you can contact the BBC Action Line via bbc.co.uk/action line for details of organisations offering advice and support. Next tonight, we're often reporting on industrial action, and today sees the start of the biggest ever strike in the history of the NHS. Junior doctors are striking over pay, with the NHS warning patients will experience disruption. Here's our health correspondent, Jamie Coulson, with the details you need to know.
At 7 o'clock this morning, junior doctors here at the Leeds General Infirmary joined colleagues at trusts across England in a 72-hour strike over pay and conditions. Doctors' unions want pay restored to levels equivalent to 2008, claiming they've seen a 26% pay cut once inflation has been factored in. The government say this would cost around £2 billion on top of this year's pay award. Dr Chris Morris is a junior doctor and a BMA rep.
Junior doctors have been pushed to this action by a government who's failed to invest in the health service and failed to invest in doctors, and we're striking to ensure our pay is restored, but also to prevent doctors from leaving the profession or leaving to work abroad.
The strike will impact both routine and emergency care, but the NHS says it's vital those in need of urgent medical treatment continue to come forward and that patients attend appointments unless they've been contacted. The government say strike action must be called off before any formal talks can happen. This current walkout finishes at 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. Jamie Coulson, BBC Look North.
Well, earlier I spoke to Dr Daru Narayanan, President of the Hospital Consultants and Specialists Association, and asked him, given the NHS had said there would be disruption for patients, whether it was right that doctors should go on strike.
Patients who are scheduled for elective procedures such as surgery or outpatient appointments will undoubtedly face disruption, and I'm very sorry for that. I deeply regret that disruption that's causing to them. But doctors are leaving the NHS in droves. 9,000 senior doctors have indicated that they want to leave the NHS or retire from the NHS based on punitive pension taxes. All this will leave NHS seriously short-staffed with no doctors. Who will look after the patients when there are no doctors?
But the government says your fight for the restoration of pay back to 2008 levels is as much as 35%. Is it realistic in the current climate?
So junior doctors, when they come out of medical school, they would have spent 6 years raking up a debt of over £100,000. They start at a salary of £14 an hour. Now, with the pay restoration that we are asking for, it'll take them up to £19 an hour. Is that too much to ask? For the amount of responsibility they have, they often make life and death decisions on the floor. They have to see patients first line. They're committed to their work. They love their job. I think the government has to have a serious think and make sure that these doctors are fairly remunerated.
Yeah, it's clearly a situation nobody wants to be in, but the government is saying they will talk once the strikes stop. What would you say to that? So
the government knew for months that the junior doctors were not happy with the salary levels. They knew when the consultative ballot took place. HCSA's junior doctors finished their ballot in early January, so the government were aware of that. At each point when we contacted the government, they said they won't talk to us on pay. We want the junior doctors to get back to work and the patients to be looked after the way we want them to be looked after. But the government has to be serious. They've acknowledged the strength of feeling, but they have not taken it seriously. The blame for this lies squarely on the government's shoulder.
We'll have to leave it there for now. Thanks for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Well, in a statement, the Health and Social Care Secretary Steve Barclay said, "It is incredibly disappointing the British Medical Association has declined my offer to enter formal pay negotiations on the condition strikes are paused. I hugely value the hard work of junior doctors and urge unions to come to the negotiating table and cancel strikes which risk patient safety and impact efforts to tackle the backlog. I want to find a fair settlement which recognises the crucial role of junior doctors and the wider economic pressures facing the UK." Now you're watching Monday's Look North. Still to come on tonight's programme. Solar-powered steam engines, the MZ Heritage Line near Skipton is making tracks and signalling a green investment. But first, we're in North East Leeds. We've spoken to some people who say they're increasingly concerned about knife crime following 2 fatal stabbings in recent weeks. 27-year-old Danico Ferguson was found in Hare Hills with stab injuries on the 15th of February. 29-year-old Peter was stabbed in Chapeltown earlier this month. Meanwhile, a teenager has been in court today charged with threatening with an offensive weapon in a public place following an incident on Roundhay Road. Michelle Lyons has the story.
There was a strong police presence in Hare Hills last week following the most recent incident of violence in the area. A 15-year-old was charged with affray and threatening with an offensive weapon in a public place. A 16- and 14-year-old were also arrested in connection with the incident.
I am worried about it. Concerned, yeah, because we want everybody to live in peace. I've got younger brothers, younger nephews, and obviously I don't want them getting hurt. Obviously they could be going out just normally chilling and something bad could happen. You constantly have to text them, ring them, see if they're okay, you know what I mean?
I'm worried of it because if I get caught and stabbed, that's it, dead. I've even thought about carrying knives. Just to protect myself, because it's getting dangerous.
People are obviously concerned about the escalating knife crime in the area. There have been 2 fatal stabbings recently, one here in Hare Hills, the other in neighbouring Chapeltown. The most recent was that of 29-year-old Peter Was. He was attacked in broad daylight. Catch is a youth centre in the heart of Hare Hills. Its role is to offer a safe haven for young people who are looking to stay out of trouble. It's a welcoming and calming space where they can chill out without the fear of violence.
I think our young people are worried. Our volunteers sit and have conversations with us about being scared out on the streets. We've had a couple of instances where our volunteers have been chased with baseball bats and machetes. It's definitely escalating. The instances of violent crime have probably doubled over the last few years.
A shocking reality, and one which the youth workers here are trying to combat. Michelle Lyons, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Well, West Yorkshire's Deputy Mayor for Policing and Crime, Alison Lowe, is with me now. Alison, we saw there firsthand young people talking about considering carrying a knife. It's very disturbing, isn't it?
Yes, and a lot of the research that's carried out nationally and locally that we've done in West Yorkshire actually reinforces that lots of young people think they need to be carrying knives, and clearly they don't need to be carrying knives, because carrying knives is the one way that you're going to either hurt yourself or hurt somebody else.
So how do we stop it?
We need to be working together better. I think that, we used to have a really substantial youth service. We used to have schools all under the local authority control. We used to have a lot more resources. West Yorkshire Police has been cut 140 million. It's just been cut another 25 million from next year. We need to work together with more resources, and hopefully by working together we can start to address some of the socio and economic reasons for the disturbances we're seeing on our streets.
But education is key, isn't it? We really need to sort of get into those schools and speak to young people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we've now got academies, you've got schools still in local authority control. It's all broken up and the consistency is not there. Some schools don't talk to the local authority at all. High levels of school exclusions. I was in a school the other week, Carmanor, no exclusions for many years, very, very small numbers of fixed-term exclusions. That school is a beacon that we should all be emulating. I think if we could get the schools, parents, community leaders and the institutions that are supposed to be working to protect our communities together, knock all our heads together so that we're all talking the same language from the same page, hopefully we can start to make a difference.
And briefly, you mentioned parents there. What can parents do?
Parents need to be absolutely alive to the fact that their children could be being exploited. So if your child suddenly got money, suddenly wearing dark clothes when before they wore bright clothes, is sullen, not getting any sleep, disappearing, all these are signs that your child could be involved in exploitation.
Alison, thank you very much for your time this evening. Now let's take a look at some of the other stories making the headlines today. A coroner has criticised the lack of accommodation for young people with drug problems after a 16-year-old died in an adult hostel in North Yorkshire. Ben Nelson Rue was found dead by his mother at the Robert Street hostel in Harrogate in April 2020. Local councils had put him there because nowhere more appropriate could be found. He'd been assessed by the police as being at high risk of exploitation from County Lines gangs. His parents say more should have been done to protect their son.
And Ben was failed in death as he was in life. Ben's life was seen as less valuable because he used drugs. The coroner's service has deprived us of the opportunity for answers. We do know that he lived in fear, pain and self-loathing for the last year of his life, because although we begged for help, no meaningful support or even basic safeguarding was put in place.
Sheffield Wednesday's Hillsborough Stadium away end capacity has been reduced by the City Council after a review into complaints of overcrowding by Newcastle United supporters. Images and footage on social media showed congestion around the exit to the tunnel in the Leppings Lane end, with a number of Newcastle fans claiming there was a lack of stewarding before kick-off in their FA Cup match against the Owls in January. The away stand capacity has been reduced by 1,000 to 3,700. It's the same stand where a crush in 1989 resulted in the death of 97 Liverpool fans. Now, an ancient lead coffin has been unearthed in a previously undiscovered 1600-year-old cemetery in Leeds. It contains the remains of a woman thought to be a late Roman aristocrat. It was discovered as part of an archaeological dig near Garforth, which also revealed the remains of more than 60 men, women and children who lived in the area. Zoo staff in Yorkshire are mourning the loss of what was to believe the world's oldest Humboldt penguin after her death at 32. Rosie had lived at Sowerby in Bridlington since 1990, when she was brought from a bird park in Surrey. Staff say that Rosie, who was just a few weeks short of her 33rd birthday, passed away peacefully in her sleep on Friday. Tree campaigners have started a 2-day vigil outside Sheffield Town Hall. They're calling for Council leader Terry Fox and Councillor Brian Lodge to resign following last week's damning report into the city's tree felling programme. An independent review found that there had been a failure of strategic leadership and that it accused of being economical with the truth. Last week, the council said they were now a radically different organisation. Now, we all know burning fossil fuels is bad for the environment, but what if you're a tourist attraction that depends on coal to create the magic? That's the problem facing heritage steam railways like the MC in Bolton Abbey Railway near Skipton. Now, the charity that runs the railway has installed hundreds of solar panels with the aim of becoming carbon neutral. Olivia has been to see the power old, the rubbing new shoulders.
The heat of a firebox powered by coal. There is nothing quite like the feel and smell on the footplate of a steam engine. It takes you back to a time long past, but burning coal to run steam trains is not good for the planet's future. Now, for the first time, one of Yorkshire's heritage railways is aiming to be carbon neutral. And this is how. The roof of the engine shed at Empsey Station is now a vast solar field. The panels will generate almost all the electricity the railway needs, with just a little to buy in the depths of winter.
Well, this roof has just been finished. There are 568 solar panels here, and there will be 263 on that roof, which means by the end of the year, the railway will actually be carbon neutral.
In terms of carbon savings, it will offset 55 tonnes per year. In terms of the coal, it will save them about a third of what their current usage is, which is about 91 tonnes a year.
The solar panel plan was developed before the war in Ukraine started, but the timing couldn't be better.
It's gone from effectively what we're paying now, which is 19p a unit, and we've been quoted from the same supplier 62p a unit. Our electricity bill would have been £90,000. So we will be probably buying about 8,000 now, so you can see how much we're saving. Plus we will have a surplus that we can reinvest back into the railway.
The panels are an investment of £750,000, borrowed from railway supporters, a debt that will take up to 7 years to repay.
I don't think we had an option, to be honest with you. I think we had to do something for the railway to survive, to be honest with you.
Steam travel was phased out by British Rail in the 1960s, at a time when dreams of harnessing the power of the sun were confined to scientific laboratories. Now the past and the present run side by side, taking steam travel to a greener future. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North, near Skipton.
In the Championship, there were losses for Rotherham, Sheffield United and Huddersfield. But in League One, Barnsley and Sheffield Wednesday have continued their winning ways. Barnsley's 3-0 home win included this free kick from Nicky Cadden into the top corner in added time, taking the Tykes to 10 matches unbeaten. And speaking of unbeaten runs, top of the table Sheffield Wednesday are now at 22 league games without a loss, following a 1-0 win at Portsmouth. Josh Windus with an unusual celebration of his 15th goal of the season. Love that. And Doncaster Rovers injected new life into their flagging League Two playoff aspirations with victory over AFC Wimbledon. Their 2-1 win leaves them 6 points behind Salford, who occupy the final playoff spot. Elsewhere in League Two, Harrogate lost and Bradford drew. Now to Rugby League and the Challenge Cup third round, and Halifax Panthers produced a cup shock, knocking out Championship leaders Featherstone Rovers 18 points to 22 at the Millennium Stadium. It was Louis Jouffre's score that proved pivotal for the Panthers. They now progress to the fourth round, with Featherstone suffering their first defeat of the season. And worth mentioning as well, Hunslet ARLFC, they are one of only 2 community clubs left in the hat for the next round. They beat Westgate Common. The draw for the 4th and 5th rounds of the Challenge Cup will be live on the BBC iPlayer on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And just time to mention Olympic gymnast Niall Wilson, who won Dancing on Ice last night. Niall, who's from Leeds, retired from gymnastics 2 years ago, but showed he's still got nerves of steel with this frankly terrifying headbanger of a performance for his final show dance. Rather him than me, Amanda.
Man of many talents. Thank you very much, Sally. Now, finally tonight, it's the time of year to watch for hedgehogs coming out of hibernation. Now, you might know not only are they nocturnal, but their numbers are in decline. Step forward, the University of York, who have been working with schools to make their grounds happy hog homes, and they've won an award for their troubles. We've got some young experts to tell you more.
Hello, we're from Lord Derrimores Primary School in York. We've been making our grounds more hedgehog friendly.
Come and see our hedgehog highways. Our clever neighbours from the University of York designed these water stations.
The wildlife love to use them. Hedgehogs love to eat bugs.
Come take a walk with us and see our award-winning bug hotel.
Can you see any bugs inside?
This is our hedgehog sanctuary. And the University of York just helps us build it.
And in fact, they just won an award.
We've recently received our Hedgehog Friendly Campus Platinum Award for hedgehog friendly activities that we've undertaken across campus. And that's basically to provide habitat and to help hedgehogs.
Actually, we won an award too.
Here it is.
This is a hibernaculum. It's where hedgehogs sleep over winter. Shall we see?
We can see hedgehogs being here.
Because there are lots of leaves.
Now that it's spring,
the hedgehogs are coming out of hibernation. Hedgehogs are nocturnal. Here's some footage from our secret cameras. This is one of our feeding stations.
we support feed so hedgehogs have enough to eat.
Here at school, we have found a few hedgehogs out in the day, which usually means they're sick.
So we keep a hedgehog first aid kit.
So why do we need to protect hedgehogs?
Because the population of hedgehogs is rapidly declining.
Their habitats are being destroyed by new building developments. Many garden products contain chemicals which are harmful to their internal organs.
And finally, they do not have enough food and water to live.
Lord Derrimores Year 6, BBC Look North, York.
Some budding reporters there. Now we're just ahead of the weather. Let's take a look at how one Sheffielder made the most of the snow on Friday last week. Free skier Paddy Graham returned home to the Steel City from Austria with his skis at the ready to showcase his skills and tricks across the streets of Sheffield. How's that? Now on to the weather. Keely, how's it looking?
Well, that snow has now melted away. In fact, we had a rapid melt, didn't we, over the weekend? Let's have a look at these photos, footage, of sent in from Wensleydale, one of our regular contributors, the A684, and you can just see the amount of water coming off the hills and fields. And actually, we do have several flood alerts in place across Yorkshire and one flood warning in place across North Yorkshire. You can check out those on the Environment Agency website for all the details. It's been very mild, it's been windy too over the last 24 hours. As we head through the next 24 hours, it's going to get colder again. And we are expecting a weather system overnight to bring a mix of rain, sleet and snow. That snow could bring a few centimetres across higher ground, and as it clears away, icy stretches on untreated roads and pavements. And then a couple of little features which could bring some wintry showers later on tomorrow, and this weather system which will bring in milder air Wednesday into Thursday, preceded perhaps by a little bit of hill snow, but unsettled and milder again towards the end of the week. So this is a radar picture from earlier. You can see it's been a pretty miserable day. We've had lots of showery rain. And then another weather system is going to push down from the north as we head through tonight. So the showery rain will clear away. It'll merge, I think, with this band of rain, sleet and snow. A few fresh centimetres, perhaps to higher routes above around 200 metres. But you can see it all clears away. And clearing skies means a widespread frost. Temperatures will be cooler than this out in the countryside. So the risk of ice on untreated roads and pavements in particular. A quick look at those high water times at 3 minutes past 8 in Whitby and at 8:24 in Scarborough. So some icy stretches and a chilly start to the day and a colder feeling day through tomorrow with quite a lot of sunshine through the morning but more cloud for the afternoon, and then this showery little feature pushes in from the west. If any of this is heavy, and we are expecting some heavy showers in it, it may well bring some sleet and snow even down to lower levels. The odd rumble of thunder, some hail too in those showers which will develop from the west through the afternoon. 6 or 7 degrees. A hard frost into Wednesday, so again the risk of some icy stretches, and then milder air into Thursday, and it remains unsettled and milder for the end of the week. Amanda.
Milder weather would be lovely. Thank you very much, Keely. That is it from us. Thank you for your company. We'll be back with the latest news of weather just after 10 o'clock. Goodbye.